Ad-Darimi say, whenever I leave the house, and on whatever thing my eyes fall on,
وسلموا تسليما حتى تنالوا جنة ونعيما صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما حتى تنالوا جنة ونعيما
Allah Ta'ala says, Wallahu yuhibbu as-sabirin. Allah Ta'ala is lief with al-kina.
School governing body of South Coast Madrasa.
وسلموا تسليما حتى تنالوا جنة ونعيما صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما حتى تنالوا.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to Community Showcase here on ITV. Today's guest is Brother Zainul Abidin Kaji, currently the CEO of Awqaf South Africa. Welcome to ITV Studios.
Jazakallah. Glad to be here.
Alhamdulillah. Brother Zainul Abidin Kaji, having been involved with Awqaf South Africa from its inception and founding, share with us a little bit about the history of Awqaf South Africa.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. I think first of all, Awqaf South Africa, Awqaf is the plural of Waqf. And I think we have to have an understanding of Waqf as one of the pillars of the Islamic economy and of rather the pillar of the Islamic social economy. So we find that the whole notion and the whole understanding of Waqf is not prevalent or prevalent in the broader Muslim community, not only in South Africa, but in many parts of the Muslim world as well. So what has happened is that over the past 2 decades, there has been a move to revive this whole concept of Waqf. And basically, the Waqf concept comes from the Prophet ﷺ, right from Medina, where many of the Sahaba radiallahu anhum had made Waqfs of some very important of their possessions. And it is said that, from the Sahaba, that anyone who had some means of giving had made a Waqf. Now, the thing is this, that in today's time, we need to actually revive this whole concept of Waqf and to make it part of our everyday life, part of our culture. So much so that as it was within the whole period of Islamic history and Islamic civilization, that, to the extent that there was a Waqf being made almost every other day by somebody, and the types of Waqfs that were made were for various reasons. Because it's a voluntary kind of charity within Islam, people had made Waqfs for some very amazing things, actually. Like, for example, I'd like to quote this example, that a woman makes a Waqf of her trousseau, her wedding jewelry and so forth, and she says that any poor person that is going to get married can borrow her jewelry and the trousseau for her wedding day. Or there are a Waqf is made for an apartment building purely for newlyweds, so that it makes it easy, because from an Islamic perspective, we're looking at marriage as a very important institution. So make it easy for newlyweds to able to find a home and so forth. So they have starter packs, as we may call it in today's terminology, small apartments. They can then move on from there. So one of the first Waqfs that were made, interestingly, is by Hazrat Umar. And this was a Waqf in Khaybar, where he asked the Prophet ﷺ, and he wanted his advice. And the Prophet ﷺ said, you can make this into a Waqf, a Sadaqah Jariyah, with certain conditions, that it should not be sold, it should not be inherited, it should not be gifted. So what makes the Waqf then very important is that it is perpetual, it is everlasting, it may not be sold, it may not be inherited, it may not be gifted away. So the income or the usufruct of that Waqf can be used. So in the case of Hazrat Umar, he had an orchard, so the dates, the date palm, the date crop, the yield of the orchard could be sold, and that could be used to fund the poor, the needy, the wayfarer, the widows, for the benefit of the general Muslim Ummah, for the Mujahideen, and so forth. So there were waqfs made of horses, there were waqfs made of, for the equipment that people needed in the warfare, in the battles that were fought by the Prophet ﷺ. So we find that historically it goes back quite far, and in the ensuing years of Islamic history, the last 1400 years, or 1435, 1436, we find that the last 300 years we've had a tremendous decline, but prior to that was really the golden age of Awqaf, where almost universities, schools, madrasas, hospitals, clinics, libraries, roads, pavements, waterways, water canals, everything that the community needed was actually provided by Awqaf.
As you mentioned, the social infrastructure.
Yes, absolutely. Even the civic infrastructure, even pavements, even street lights could be provided by Awqaf. Interestingly, one of our brothers who was here recently, Brother Salim Argun, who's a professor at in the Istanbul University, he said that in Istanbul, during the Ottoman era, there were no municipalities. It was the Awqaf system that actually provided all municipal services to the community. There are tremendous examples of the kind of waqfs that people made, and the one that comes to mind is the waqf of Sultan Mehmed, who made a waqf, and he said that, and he wrote in a document called the Waqfiyya, or the trust deed, and he said that he is making this waqf out of his own earnings from the shops that he's owned, and the rental income from there should be to fund medical doctors who will go street by street, house by house in Istanbul to look for sick people.
Wow.
And they would be duty bound to cure them, and if they cannot be cured, then those patients should be taken to what was called the Bimaristan, the hospital. Furthermore, he also said that he created a kind of food feeding program, but what he said was that this must be given to people in the dark of the night, so that people do not see them, who are the recipients. So there's a whole variety of things that Waqf has been involved in, or Awqaf has been involved in.
As an institution.
As an institution. From farms, apartments, shops, shopping centers. Of course, our masajid, our madrasas, our religious infrastructure are all Waqf, and they're there to support the community and help build the community.
Sharing with us, Uncle Zainul, this idea of Awqaf, and all the infrastructure that is maintained, facilitated and grown via Awqaf, takes my mind, as you mentioned, you use the term starter pack, takes my mind to a phrase when we speak about social organizations, PBO, public benefit organization, and you see this encapsulated in the history, the Islamic tradition of history for, as you mentioned, a good part of close on 11 to 1400 years. You also mentioned that perhaps in the last 300 years we've seen a little bit of a decline, but Awqaf South Africa, I think in the last 12 months also, alhamdulillah, were the recipients of a wonderful award by an initiative that seeks to once again re-enliven this idea of Waqf globally. Tell us a little bit about that award.
Well, we received this award at the Global Islamic Economy Award ceremony in Dubai that was held earlier this year in January. And this was in essence a recognition of the contribution that Awqaf South Africa has been making, not only locally but also internationally, in terms of spreading the idea of Waqf. We've been able to export the idea, literally, if one may say, to countries like New Zealand, Uganda, Australia, and hopefully in other parts of the world as well. And this is a continuous effort, because we believe right from day one when we started that the whole concept of Awqaf should be revived, as it is a very important pillar that will help solve many issues and problems within the community, especially amongst the poor and needy. So we're very happy that we received that award in a humble way. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. Well, with that, viewers, time for us to take a break. When we come back, sharing with you more of the projects that we see Awqaf South Africa being involved in here on the ground in our country. Stay with us.
صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما حتى تنالوا جنة ونعيما. صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما حتى تنالوا جنة ونعيما. صلوا عليه.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back. If you've just joined us, we have in studio with us Brother Zainul Abidin Kaji, currently the CEO of Awqaf South Africa. Before the break, alhamdulillah, he shared with us interesting insight into the idea and the concept and this institution of Awqaf or Waqf that can be traced back to the time of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Amazing facts that I've heard for the first time. Now bringing it to where it is, Awqaf South Africa in existence for a period of more or less 15 years, involved in a wide plethora of projects. Tell us a little bit about Awqaf South Africa particularly.
Well, Awqaf South Africa was started in year 2001. It is now, as you said, about 15 years old, and I think we still regard ourselves as still a young infant, maybe going into our teenage years and so forth. So I think it will take us a bit of time to maturity, but we have a long history to back us up. We have many other Awqaf institutions worldwide to draw upon. So I think there's a lot of experience that we can draw upon internationally. But for Awqaf South Africa, we run as a public benefit organization. Our modus operandi is basically that we obtain donations as waqf funds, as sadaqah jariyah, and these funds are then invested. We're not allowed to spend it because they're waqf funds, and we treat waqf funds in a very sacred way, and in a very strict way, that these are sacred funds, they're sacrosanct, they cannot be spent. And that's the part of the concept of the capital mobilization of the Muslim Ummah, that these funds are then invested into properties and other
revenue generating
revenue generating investments with some criteria that it should be income generating, it should be low risk, it should be there should be some capital growth in it, there should be an income stream in it. So those are some of the criteria that our investment committee looks at, and these funds are then invested. Income is generated out of it, and then that income is what we would then spend on projects,
sure,
or what we would call downstream projects. So some of the projects that we spend on is in education. We run a tuition program in Lenasia around the Thembalishle camp. We also run scholarships through the education fund, bursaries to deserving students, not only in the Gauteng area but nationally. We are planning a massive high impact mathematics, matric mathematics program that will be rolled out just immediately, in fact during Ramadan, to help matriculants with their mathematics programs. In terms of education and health, we also have run very recently a cataract project with the Islamic Medical Association, which we have funded. We also do the annual healthcare tent, which is done in Bosmont. And
both these, Brother Zainul Kaji, the health tent as well as the cataract project, are not new projects to Awqaf. Alhamdulillah, these have been sustained now for 2 or 3 years.
Yes, they've been ongoing. In fact, the cataract has been going on for over 10 years.
And it's just been growing year on year.
It's been growing. So this year was probably the highest number of cataract operations that we have funded. For example, in one cataract camp, there are approximately 50 or 54 patients that are actually provided with a cataract operation. And through the humble efforts and the blessings of our partners, the Islamic Medical Association and their doctors and their team who provide the actual service, this has been done at the Leratong Hospital, and hopefully it's going to be rolled out in the Cape as well, and we're looking at other hospitals where we can actually do it as well. So, but interestingly, the other health project that we've been very much working on is the Darus Shifa project. The Darus Shifa is about creating facilities and homes for elderly people. So it's not, and caring for elderly people. So the Darus Shifa actually starts off with making your home your Darus Shifa.
Sure,
so
a care center.
Your home must be the care center. That's the first point. After that, you'd have a home-based care. So where our volunteers that we also fund, some of them are come in as volunteers, but they trained to do home-based care. So that will be the second level. Those projects are already in operation. The third level would be where we actually create facilities and physical infrastructure, where there's a daycare center, for example, and frail care centers, and eventually hospices. Now, these are not new to the Islamic civilization. Yes. In Turkey, for example, and many other countries, the Darus Shifa has been implemented in some places in a very big way. And these are places where, elderly people are not left in isolation. They need compassion, they need love, they need to be sort of respected in that way, so that their issues become sort of, they're placed in circumstances where they find happiness and they find love, and they are able to live their twilight years in a better way. An
environment that's conducive to their good health, their emotional good health.
So there's recreation facilities for them. I've seen some of these myself I'm referring to Turkey again, because I've been there and I've seen it there. And we've had Dr. Aydin, who came from Turkey, who visited us recently, who spoke about the concept of the Darus Shifa, and he's the president of the World Aging Council. So we have to learn from the experiences of others. So education, health. Then, of course, there are many other projects that we fund, like, for example, the youth development, which is quite an important segment and part of our projects. We funded students to go to Indonesia recently, and that has a kind of a multiplier effect, because those students come and then they in turn
become ambassadors.
And they have organized on their own another youth development training program. So we hope that the few that we train will then actually go on to train others. Then, of course, we have the Muslim Students Association, the Muslim Youth Movement. These are all youth formations in the community that we as a community need to support and fund, so that they can actually become future leaders. They are, like I think you mentioned, they are our leaders, and we really look up to them, and we have great expectations of them as well.
One of the other projects that Awqaf South Africa has been instrumental in is the South African Quran Union, and partnering with the South African Quran Union.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about this.
The South African Quran Union, we've been kind of funding that project for a while now, which is mainly Cape-based, but now it's been launched in Gauteng, and this will be the second year that we already running the Qira competition. National Qira competition. So some of the winners of our competition here then go to Cape Town. Then from Cape Town they are seconded to other international competitions. So it is a national project, and we hope this is part of developing the arts and culture within the Muslim Ummah, and especially amongst our youth. And we found tremendous response from young people. Right now, as we speak, we've already had the Kira competition being held in Gauteng, and soon after Ramadan, the competition will be now, the national event will take place in Cape Town. There will be one in the KZN as well.
What's the golden thread between each of these projects? We look at, having spoken a little bit about education, then early childhood development in terms of the schools, mathematics, health, arts and culture. For me, it stands out as, from the very concept of Awqaf, about an investment that's in perpetuity. It's then creating human beings who have been given the capacity to be able to achieve more. So it's not just about someone investing and getting an ajr and reward, but the types of projects also tend towards creating human capacity, which is an important thing for us as Muslims.
I think the issue is about community development, community empowerment, community development. Recently, we also were engaged with the Boerland Islamic Council in the Cape, and we found that with tremendous respect and initiative from the community out there, from the imams, from the ulama, we run training programs, and many of them who had come to our programs found it very enlightening and eye-opening as well, in terms of the broad scope of Awqaf compared to the limited knowledge that we come with even from our probably our religious schools that we have. So the common thread is about developing communities and looking at wherever there are needs, and hopefully as Awqaf develops further and further, it's our eventual object is to build the capital within the community, the financial capital, and the Awqaf, the donations that people make, go towards this pool. And so as the pool gets bigger, the income gets bigger, and there are more projects that we can actually fund. So we can actually do, as we go into the future, we could do develop these Darushifa places, infrastructure, housing, look at many other needs, the health needs of the community, clinics. Lots of our organizations are doing lots of good work, but we do find that there are gaps, and those are the gaps that we need to see where we can actually fill in.
Well, Uncle Zainul, in closing, where is it and how is it that every viewer of ITV and every Muslim who finds out about Awqaf South Africa can contribute? What does Awqaf South Africa have in store for the viewers of ITV this Ramadan?
I think the first thing is that, inshallah, that we make a niyyah that we will now, apart from all our other charities, that we do make a special niyyah for waqf. Okay, this is a sadaqah jariyah, it is a sunnah, and it is a very important part of our community development. Not only towards Muslims, but also towards the broader South African community. So we first start with the niyyah that we're going to make that, inshallah. So we're coming up with a pledge line during the week, and we hope that all our viewers will be donating very generously, as specifically as the Sadaqah Jariyah, as the Waqf Fund, and to help Awqaf South Africa grow this fund. This fund belongs to the Ummah. It doesn't belong to any individuals or trustees or anybody. It belongs to the Ummah. It's for the benefit of the Ummah. Whether we're funding the broader community or we're funding within our own community or communities, ultimately it's for the benefit of the Ummah, it's for the benefit of Islam. We are involved in many other funding projects that benefit the Muslim Ummah. We've just covered a few of them here with you, but we would like our viewers, the ITV viewers in particular, and the general public there, to contribute, to make and feel that Awqaf South Africa belongs to all of us. We need to strengthen this organization, this institution. It's not only for now, it's a very long-term institution. We want to see it surviving for the next 1,000 years,
Ameen.
inshallah. As we have seen other waqfs that have survived for 1,400 years, we would like to see Awqaf South Africa surviving and contributing magnificently and magnanimously to the broader community of South Africa, and also to help uplift communities, poverty alleviation, and there are so many needs that we can actually satisfy as we go along, inshallah.
Jazakumullah khairan to you, Uncle Zainul. Well, viewers, if you want to stand on Yawmul Hisab, the day of reckoning, before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and see things enumerated in your list of good deeds that you have not fathomed, then there could be no better way but that you plug into this very beautiful institution of Waqf. Diarize this day, Saturday the 27th of June, after Salatul Taraweeh, till the early hours of the morning, and be part of Awqaf South Africa's live pledge line, where you can start with a small waqf that inshallah will grow beyond your imagination when you eventually have to give account before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on Yawm al-Qiyamah. With that, we say Jazakumullah khairan for joining us. Do remember, 27th of June, Saturday evening, after Salatul Taraweeh. Hopefully, inshallah, you'll tune in then. With that, wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما حتى تنالوا جنة ونعيما. 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 صلوا عليه.